Hello, and welcome to Campaign Comrades. Before you proceed, we have to make sure and check your license to validate that you have purchased the Campaign Comrades expansion pack or the season pass. If you have not, please click the link in the store that will take you to our homepage, where you can then purchase either the expansion pass for $15.99 or the season pass, which includes 12 different DLC skins, 4 for each of us, for an additional $15.99.
What's your premium DLC skin? What is what would be your specific
banana hammock?
Okay. My premium DLC skin would just be tighty whities and a paper bag on my face.
I feel like
the Spider-Man costume.
We're still kind of in the season, like a Jolly Santa, maybe,
oh, yeah.
maybe like with like a signature Speedo would be good. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that could be good.
That would be holiday DLC. That's a different
different tier,
different DLC package that's not included in the season pass, and
oh my God,
it won't transfer over to the next game that we release.
Before we started recording, I'm like, okay, Matt has set this topic for us. We're doing DLCs. Like, I gotta refresh my memory of I gotta have things to talk about. Like, what are some of my favorite DLCs? Let's look through some lists. But then as you're doing this bit, it just hits me over the head. I just had an experience like that. So I just started playing Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora because I am actually Jim Cameron's
Ubisoft game. So I was replicating an Ubisoft model.
I almost threw my controller at my television yesterday. I thought it wasn't going to let me play the game without buying the season pass. Like, I logged in and it does its online store thing and gives me a pop-up, like, go check out the store. And every time I'd hit, you can either just say, yes, let me go check it out, or hit back, and it kept recycling. It just kept shoving me into that same window repeatedly. And I'm like, are you fucking serious?
Ubisoft games in particular are some of the most aggressive when it comes to how they show off their DLC. To reference the game that you talked about beforehand on your list of 31 best DLCs, Immortals Fenyx Rising, that was one
This is not my personal list, folks, by the way. This is the one that I just looked
It was
up.
his personal list that he put together. When I played that game briefly, the opening menu was half of it was broken down into start, new game, continue, options, settings, all that shit. And then the entire right side was just, here are the rotating skins you can purchase today. Here are the DLCs that you can buy.
I remember when Elden Ring...
Premium currencies.
Do you guys remember when Elden Ring dropped and the Ubisoft
Someone made the
UX
Ubisoft
designer
defined,
was like, this is so anti-user. I have not, beyond the hostility of shoving microtransaction in your face, even if you wanted to partake in those menus are so hard to navigate. They are, one, they're ugly, and two,
a lot of them are usually designed
so,
for PC interface, so it's not designed
so
where
bad.
you can flick back and forth with
but this is a console
it's all
first game, which
mouse cursor.
Yeah, that ties into it as well. I hate console games that use the fucking mouse cursor thing. I hate that trend, but that's a different... But they look bad and they're hard to navigate to begin with. Ubisofts are uniquely hostile in every single...
I distinctly remember those comments, and then someone released the Ubisoft if they made Elden Ring.
Yeah,
with the top right corner had the check out our DLC and skins, and there was just way markers everywhere.
Buy this rune pack, buy an exclusive rune pack today for a special discount. But no, their DLC, their season pass menu that yes, similarly when you log in, and even when you go into the game menu, when you're in game, you can it's not in your face. You have to hit a specific button. It's one of the D-pad directions will then take you to the store where it shows you but then to see the UI change, not to say that Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora has the best UI.
No, it has an okay UI.
It's okay. But to then see the drastic change from that to the fucking generic and just really ugly microtransaction store in game is so jarring. Gives you this tonal whiplash in this way. Again, this is a game all about the natural world and reclaiming your place within it. And here, let me just shove the most toxic technological gobbledygook right in your face. It's so sterile It's awful.
I just remember
It's
when I
terrible.
bought it, like flipping through the add-ons on the PlayStation Store to see, like, because obviously there's the Fire and Ashes DLC, and then there's
So I bought the Fire and Ash version.
and then
so
there's
it
there's the
comes with
two
it.
other ones, like there's the Save the Spire, and there's another one.
Which I want to see how you lead the episode. That like there's differences in those. Like there's like the expansion, and then like story packs. There's
But
levels
beyond
of,
just those. I was like, oh boy, it's not an Ubisoft game unless there's like 40 different like skin packs that you can like go through, or it's like, oh man, you want to be Turok Mokto, you better pay for this skin package. But yeah, we're covering DLCs in the broad sense, because the DLCs there's a lot to cover, whether it's, you know, like we've been discussing the Ubisoft model of, you know, small microtransactions, small, you know, story expansions with maybe, you know, 2 or 3 missions versus full-on expansions, you know, new actual story content. There's differences with like fighting game DLCs, which is when you'll get like a character release package, different first-person shooter DLCs where it's like, hey, here's a new map pack. You know, that's one of the things that started all of this, if you look back on it, is the original Call of Duty map packs and how they started the toxic trend beyond, you know, MMO expansions, which were their own separate, you know, beast entirely.
Yeah, because those were effectively new games. That wasn't
there'd be like full new quest chains.
Yeah.
And it's also, I don't know specifically the history of how do MMO expansions, what's their monetization like? Because most MMOs are on a subscription system. Do you have to pay extra on
how
top
it works
of that?
with like Final Fantasy 14, which is you have to pay the one-time upfront cost of the expansion and then continue with
while
your
maintaining your subscription. That kind of sucks.
That's how WoW worked when I did. Yeah. I never paid for WoW, but I did their like 60-day free trial at one point, and
that's some interesting Andrew lore. I never knew that.
Yeah.
When was this?
It is.
When
this is
when
like
was
2
this?
weeks ago.
You got into classic WoW.
2009, I want to say. When I got my first laptop in high school, I played WoW for a little
Andrew
while.
was playing WoW on his first high school laptop. I was downloading horrific viruses off LimeWire.
Yeah,
no, that was the family computer.
Getting a porn virus from LimeWire, that's for the family desktop.
And like DLCs and expansions were kind of a novel phenomenon when we, you know, we're talking about 2009, because they didn't really become popularized until online gaming connection became more of a thing.
You need a digital storefront, right?
Yeah, because otherwise you have to release a full, for example, Final Fantasy 11, which was the MMO Final Fantasy, which released on PlayStation 2 initially. Whenever they would release an expansion, that was a full additional disc, essentially, that you had to go buy. Technically, the PlayStation 2 did have an online modem. You could plug it in, but there was no real interface or network for it.
Yeah, there wasn't anything to interact with. And so the other one though that I do want to lay some blame on for popularizing DLC.
Force Armor?
I do want to talk. We definitely could talk about that. But from a console standpoint, I think Guitar Hero and Rock Band with their song
releasing
pack
new
DLCs
songs
was a huge part of it. It's that and like the Call of Duty maps, zombie maps.
If you think
I never
about
played
it,
any of those.
If you think about it from like a standpoint, licensing is pretty much the only thing that those Guitar Hero DLCs really cost, because like visually you don't have to do a whole lot.
And the good part about that is those games never actually licensed the actual artist doing their song. They licensed covers. So almost everything in the Rock Band and Guitar Hero games is done by their cover bands. You're not actually.
So you're telling me when I was doing "Living on a Prayer" by John Bon Jovi over and over again in my living room, to my dad's dismay,
yes,
I was
cover.
I was not directly
not
profiting John Bon Jovi.
No,
it was John Bovi you were playing as.
I do like that you chose to start our year off with an absolute haters special. Like this, at least for me, like this is a haters episode without a doubt.
I really thought that's how my attitude was going to be like going in, but then again, that I just really am thinking about how does my attitude shift as I'm scrolling through this truly definitive list on best expansions, and I'm like, yeah, okay, there's some in here that I actually really liked, and I still have some thoughts on them.
I broached this topic because I think like for me, there are a lot of good DLCs out there that I have enjoyed, but there's also a lot of really bad predatory DLCs out there that shouldn't exist. And I think it's an interesting topic to, discuss from both fronts. Like, some of my best gaming experiences of the past couple years have been DLC releases. Shadow of the Erd Tree. That's a that's a whole ass game inside a game. But then there's your typical, how do we cover like, cosmetics and additional microtransaction style DLC, which does that count as DLC? Because, it's not in the base game. You have to, purchase and download it, on the side. That's not.
It does to me. That's downloadable content, man.
It does. It is DLC from a technical standpoint, but I think most people would push back and say it's like what a DLC is when you look at it. That it is story content.
Are we transvestigating DLC now?
Well, because would you call it like a skin pack DLC content? And I think we should. And again, I think it's technically true that yes, like a season pass in like a battle royale type thing, that's downloadable content.
Because I would consider.
I guess I'm arguing against myself here. Some of those systems, you don't have to pay extra. They're not always tied to it.
A lot of the times they design it in a way to make you incentivized to pay extra because grinding.
Is it a DLC? Is it a DLC? Is it only DLC if you have to pay for it?
Because that would be the argument that I used
that's
to
earnable in game.
In my Overwatch days was like whenever there'd be a seasonal event, it's like a lot of people would go and they'd pay $100 and get fucking 100 loot boxes just to open them. To try to get all the seasonal skins. And I was like, yo, just grind these games out, homie. Play as many games as you can for the month that this season is running and, get all those skins that way. The natural method.
So,
you didn't get Witch Mercy. It's the last day of the event. Now you pay $100 in loot boxes and fucking rip that shit.
I think you're not unfair to ask that question. However, they are all part of the same ultimately predatory ecosystem. And they feed off of each other, and they make gameplay worse. So for that reason, I'm gonna say those should still be called DLC, because ultimately they make it so hard to actually grind those things that like.
Well, yeah, because that was remember Star Wars Battlefront 2, the controversy surrounding.
Yes,
you have to play 46 years to unlock Darth Vader.
Yeah. And it's still to this day holds the record for the most downvoted comment in Reddit history. Was the EA account posted in response to it saying like, well, we wanted our players to gain like a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking things.
I have so much pride when I open my wallet. I'm flexing on these fools with my premium skins. I've got so much pride. You could even say that I'm courting the deadly sins. I'm showing so much pride.
The lion sin of pride, Escanor. So like there's two thought processes as a company when you're really going into like, we've released a game and maybe we have some additional content that we couldn't finish in time for full release, so we had to set it aside. Maybe we want to finish that now and try to make some money off of it. Or we released this game and now it's been a couple years and we've had some time to build out some more content. It'd be cool to get back into the zeitgeist and, make a little bit extra money off of this already completed product. There's two different ways to really look and think about it. I really don't appreciate when you come into a game release and you already see like, hey, we have planned DLC coming out. Most recently, the Pokemon Legends Z to A debacle.
So is there a distinction that you're making? Because I know for myself, one of my points that I knew coming into this episode was where I can uniformly say dislike, I want to disavow is day one DLC. Not necessarily. I think there is potentially a distinction. I'm not saying that my opinions may differ a whole lot between something that would like a planned DLC roadmap versus the Pokemon ZA was there is downloadable content you have to pay extra for that is available on launch. Day one.
Fuck that.
Is just gatekeeping, paywalling bullshit.
Yeah. I can fully acknowledge my own biases because I think there are some creators out there, some producers that it's, Riz versus harassment for me. When like Xenoblade Chronicles
HR
when Xenoblade Chronicles comes out and they're like, hey, we've got a season pass we're going to be releasing, we've got 3 different DLCs that'll be coming out over the span of, 3 months in between each one. And the final one will be a big story DLC versus, a couple characters and stuff like that. I look at that and like, yep, give it to me. I'll pay for that right away. Yes, sir.
Oh, how sweet versus HR. Yeah.
Versus when Pokemon Legends Z to A is like, yeah, we're going to release a mega DLC a month after release. And I'm like, okay, first off, we didn't even go out to dinner and you're asking this of me already? That seems,
You had made the kind of argument previously, or at least alluding to it, that like I have the most forgiveness for. I still don't particularly like the idea of, and I think it gets to my aversion to like a live service or live service adjacent type of game. I would prefer for a studio to make a game and move on to its next thing. I don't really like the drip feed of content. There are economic concerns that come into play that
because of the length of game development.
You should think realistically, right? That they can maybe put a smaller team on DLC content to bring in revenue to help fund whatever that next exciting project is going to be.
Yeah. Well,
so sometimes there are economic necessities for that that thing. So I can be more forgiving.
A team like From Software, who always have about 3-ish teams in cycle. Mm-hmm. So, they had the Elden Ring team, which was the main team that, Michael Zaki himself. And while they worked, they had the DLC, planned out to an extent. My understanding of Shadow of the Erdtree DLC initially was that it was planned to be similar to how Dark Souls 3 had 2 smaller DLCs that they then mashed together and were like, no, we're going to release, if I remember the exact words, they were like, it'll be about the size of Limvale. And they're like, oh yeah, this is just a whole ass fucking map, by the way. But while they are working on that, they have another team working on Night Rain, a smaller team, to get something out in the middle, of their next 2 big releases so that can still make them money. It's a smaller release, $40 with its own DLC, that can bridge the gap in between those longer release cycles for their next major game, being Duskbloods. And then who knows after that, maybe there's another Armored Core that comes out at some point, or they do a good job of bridging bigger with smaller.
It's like how much is it personal bias that I'm like, yeah, I like the way that From Software does it. I like.
I said that already. I can. It's,
I like the long gaps between them versus the here I have this kind of set in stone, and it's more that like people can criticize Night Rain as being a asset flip type of thing that they
a fun ass asset flip.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also, it is just weird enough that like that is an interesting version of the let's kind of give them different content to keep our financial wheels spinning as we're able to develop other mainline, if you want to call it, make that distinction projects. I don't know. I prefer that system to the recent one, like that. It's I'm assuming that it might fall into a similar bias for you, Matt, that you're more forgiving. But like, I didn't like that the news that, even though it's a game I'm not playing, that I didn't like that Team Cherry is like, yeah, we have an expansion coming out, even though Silksong released less than 3 months ago. To me, it's just like, you guys, again, we're historically like, we're going to take as much time as we need to make this game. We are not beholden to anybody's schedule or anything. Then why not just make that part of the full game? I don't understand the need that everything has to have an expansion. Everything has to have a DLC.
I don't think everything needs to have an expansion or DLC. I think that sometimes it's nice. So there's the rumor, it surfaced again this morning, that Witcher 3 is going to get another expansion this year. That's a game that released, what was that, 20?
Yeah.
I think 2016 maybe.
Yeah,
2015.
It's already had three expansions.
2 that are like real, like Heart and Stone and then Blood and Wine. I don't think there's another one. There's just been like some like next gen updates.
And I feel like stuff like that can be done in part that's again like to get yourself back into the zeitgeist, because they're going to have another Witcher game coming out. So maybe they've got a small team working on an expansion just to get Witcher back into, so people don't think about the Netflix show.
And what I think people have theorized, it's more to kind of
test
set
out.
up, give a little bit more, get some people, maybe some holdouts, let's say, a certain subsect, well, to get them more comfortable with the protagonist change, that's going to show more directly the handing of the torch between Geralt and Ciri as your main characters. That they're priming you more for what Witcher 4 is going to be. That's what I saw recently. Like I said, like it's been so long, and I've had my console version of the game just sitting on my shelf for a while, never played. You know, I only played on PC, but I'm like, yeah, I kind of want to do another full playthrough. Maybe that's an excuse to get me back to play again.
It'll be interesting
after a long
how it's
time.
handled, because notably, all of the recent releases of the game are called the Complete Edition.
Oh, yeah.
So how does that work? If you release an additional expansion, do you look at your Complete Edition people and be like, yeah, complete-ish?
Yeah,
The more complete.
Do they grandfather them in and give it to them for free? No way.
No.
Yeah,
No.
there's just 0% chance.
No way.
Because, like, yeah, you release DLC to, you know, get your game talked about again, get it popular again, but you don't do it just to do it for free. Like, you do it also to make some money. That is generally how this stuff...
Even the free ones, even free expansions are all about, you know, it's PR goodwill type of thing, that, you know, getting back in the zeitgeist is a marketing tactic and will get more people who didn't buy it before to buy more copies of base game. So yeah, it's all marketing. It's all financials. But yeah, those are still much more rare.
It's also, I wouldn't
usually
expect
smaller.
a company the size of CD Projekt Red to be like, yes, here, take this free.
And there's also a difference between like the you know 2.0 updates, you know, for like Cyberpunk, right? That was free. And that's like about how the game functions. But they make story expansions are never free. You know, like content.
Well, excuse me,
content
sir.
Is always.
Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers had some story changes that were free.
But that's not DLC. Like, if anything, let's play that game offline so it doesn't fucking update.
What if they release DLC to change it back?
You gotta pay to get the version where you kill the main characters. Damn.
Yeah,
that would be funny.
So we've danced around it. Obviously, we've been talking for a little bit now, but I did want to ask each of us individually. You know, do you have a top 3 DLCs you've played? Is it only 1 or 2? You know, can you fill out 5? You know, I want to hear your favorite expansions that you've played, and then we'll go the opposite direction.
The bad ones are going to be really hard for me. Fuck.
For the bad ones, I only have one that
I'm going to have to
really
look at the
sticks
other
out.
list. Worst DLCs.
Because I can start if you guys need to.
No, I've got plenty of good stuff. So, no, fuck you, Google AI mode. Fuck off. Get the
First
fuck
off,
out
be
of here.
be polite to
Burn it
Gemini,
down.
because Gemini is going to be running your Social Security and 401k.
Oh my god. Yo, I speaking of just quick tangent of AI, I was like, I looked up this thing and found somebody's like GitHub, like they have a script that you run in PowerShell it completely stripped Copilot from my Windows 11 updated gaming PC, so it's completely gone. It's been exercised.
Nice.
Highly recommend. But yeah, Andrew, you can go first.
All right. Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't play a lot of DLCs. I
didn't expect you to.
I often feel like they're pretty cash grabby. A lot of the times they're like sandwiched.
What I was going
into
to say is you tend to play
narratives.
games early on when they come out. So by the time that a DLC has released, you've already moved past it.
True. That's also definitely
I
a
fall
factor.
into that a lot, and because I tend not to be a game replayer. That's exceptionally rare.
So that was going to be a topic I was going to discuss was, you know, for me, DLC tends to make me, if I know you're going to release DLC, even if you haven't said it overtly like Ghost of Yotei, that tends to make me just want to wait, because I'm going to wait until the stuff is there, like I did with Horizon Forbidden West, so that I can play the game in one sitting, sit down, get all of my content out of it, so I don't have to pick it back up and be like, okay, how do the controls work? What am I doing here? I'm in a high-level area, and I'm playing like I don't know what I'm doing.
I understand why you have that choice, and like I don't think that's an unfair way of doing it. But I just fundamentally don't like how most DLCs bring their additional narrative arc into the fold of the larger narrative, which is that it's often like retroactively placed. And I don't like that, because you told your story. It just makes it feel so cash grabby to me.
Like Final Fantasy 16. I'm sure like the you played that, Matt, that like the Leviathan stuff looked great, looked cool, some new changes to combat, but then it's like, yeah, it's now I've seen that story to its end, and that had such a definitive conclusion that it feels weird for me to go back. And part of it is, and it comes with like an RPG or RPG adjacent games where it feels like I've crafted the narrative that this is my story, my version of the story. So much about an interactive media is any media, is a conversation between the creator and the consumer, and the question of ownership of the story is always kind of fluid. But with an interactive story where you are kind of making these choices, I think it leans more heavily in the player, the consumer, who is directing the story in this way, and it feels like it's my story that's now being fucked with, and it doesn't feel like my canon story anymore at that point.
It's an interesting additive. I just don't like that, how that generally works. I do have some exceptions, and they're the DLCs that I've played and very much enjoyed. And one of them is Shadow of the Erdtree. That's another game though. They could have sold that for $40 as just a separate game. They could have sold it for $50 as just a separate game.
I say, dog,
it would have been
60.
awesome.
I'd pay $60 for that.
Yeah, I'd pay $60 for it too, to be honest.
Well, it's enough content for it. That's for sure.
It's a more complete content experience than a lot of games released
100%.
Currently.
I'll also say that Civil Liberties from Cyberpunk, not Civil Liberties.
I'm not sure how many Civil Liberties you got in Cyberpunk.
Phantom
in
Liberties,
City, baby.
Yeah, Phantom Liberties in Night City, or in Cyberpunk. I very much enjoyed that. I thought that was a great narrative. It does I played that once it was already out, so it worked well in fitting with the larger narrative arc, because I was able to do the DLC before reaching the final ending. Whereas if I hadn't had that ability, I think having seen the final ending, I would have been like, fuck that. I'm not going to go back and pretend that V's still V, and like this is still like Keanu's still there. Like I wouldn't want that. But because of timing, it really worked, and I think it's great. It's a great narrative.
Similarly, like I didn't intentionally wait to play it because of that, but I played it when the 2.0 update came out and Phantom Liberty dropped, so I played it the whole thing. So I got very close to the end of the main story, did all of Phantom Liberty, and then finished the game. So yeah, it felt cohesive. It flowed in the sense of, yes, this is my constructed narrative.
And then I think what's the other DLC that I think I've enjoyed? I did like the Skyrim DLC, but again, similarly, like it was just kind of built into my
which Skyrim
experience.
DLC is that? Because
There
Skyrim
are
is an
several.
interesting topic.
It was, let me see.
I don't really remember so much of the story DLC. I remember more of the one where I could build a house.
Yeah, it's the vampire stuff,
The
right?
Dawnguard, the vampire stuff. Yeah, that was what I liked a
Because
lot.
I don't,
That was the
I played
DLC
Skyrim
enjoyed.
so late and didn't really like click with me long enough. So like all that stuff was just in the game. And when I think of Skyrim DLC, I think of the post-release of the Anniversary Edition, where they incorporated fishing.
Yes.
I think that was in the version that we played, because again, we didn't pick this up. It was like our COVID game.
Yeah,
for Andrew and
I
I.
played that in
Yeah,
2020.
the Anniversary Edition released in like 2020.
Andrew and I were basically playing it simultaneously and like talking to each other about it as we're playing.
But I think like realistically, that's my most exposure.
You didn't play the Ragnarok DLC, did you?
No,
that one was
that was the
that
free.
one was pretty good. That one was pretty. Oh yeah, that one was free, and that one was pretty good because it intentionally takes place after the end.
After, right.
Right. And it is like it's introspective in its story element. It is more reflective on Kratos' past and looking to the future. It doesn't reach my high level thing just because it's a roguelike take on it, which I'm just like, boo, a roguelike, don't like, get out of here. Roguelike equals dislike for me, folks. Put that in a headline. Okay, I'll name a few because again, obviously I loved both of those, and both of those are high up on my list as well, of Erdtree and Phantom Liberty. I maybe wasn't as hot on Phantom Liberty as the larger conversation was. I thought it was really good. Don't get me wrong. I really liked it, but like it didn't blow me away. It had some cool elements. I liked some of the new characters the most, probably. I liked Idris Elba. I liked the sexy ginger twins that unfortunately you have to kill. That was unfortunate. I liked Songbird. It wasn't as transformative to me because I think we were playing it again with the 2.0 update, where a lot of people were like, this was there, we're going back into the game, and now we're going back into it in its new state. So I think they kind of equated the gameplay updates with Phantom Liberty.
I do think some of them go
fair.
hand in hand, because I think some of the updates came as a result of development on Phantom Liberty.
I mean, I know for a while that they had well, because they had been iterating before that. Like the 1.5 update itself was like the prior like major one, and it had done a lot. So that's something that they had been kind of working on. I don't know, obviously, the inner workings of CD Projekt Red's development cycle, so I can't say for certain. I think that was probably done in tandem, not necessarily because of one or the other. But we already mentioned the Witcher DLCs. People love Blood and Wine, and I do think it's really good. I love the region. It is a visually different take on the game. It's very almost like kind of Florentine, kind of it's French in a lot of ways, but it's like the color scheme is a little bit different and warmer, and that was interesting. Also vampires, but I actually really liked Hearts of Stone. It was this really, again, this one was dark and drab and kind of similar color schemes, but the tone was different. This was like a horror theme, and I really liked the villain, as well as kind of Deutero, how do you say it? The Deutero-tagonist or whatever. Like he's like kind of he's a morally gray character that you're kind of, I guess he's not really a Deuteragonist because he's not a Deuteragonist because you don't play as him, but like the central story character that's introduced, and the Gontaro Dim as the villain is like really fascinating. Some cool performances, shorter than Blood and Wine too, which is kind of nice. Tacking on to an already like 100+ hour playthrough to do like a 15-hour DLC and then another like 30-40 one in Blood and Wine was pretty crazy. Those are really good.
Blood and Wine is that much?
You can. I kind of played through a lot of it really quickly, which I kind of regret, but at the time, again, I had just put 100 hours into base game, so it's like I'm not gonna do all of that. Yeah, I won't belabor more about Shadow of the Erdtree, because I think most of that's already been said. The Horizon ones were okay. Again, not really top tier. I'm looking at this list again. The original Last of Us DLC is kind of interesting. Is like a flashback.
Yeah.
Was a just enough of a tweak to get past our disdain for going back before the end of the main game. Oh, yeah, Phantom Liberty is really good. I feel like I maybe had a couple other like really, really good ones that I'm now kind of blanking on. But those are like the obvious. Those are obvious. Those are
Yeah, it doesn't
nothing
need to be
special.
Much more than that, if that's all you got.
I want to play Prey just to play Moon Crash, because everybody's like,
yep, the Moon Crash DLC
Prey
is
Moon
supposed to
Crash
be really good.
It's like one of the best ever.
And Prey is a game that I always like toy around with, just because I like the concept.
It's on my list. Yeah, it's on my list for sure.
And like I like the speedrunning aspect to Prey. I've seen a speedrun of it, the game beaten in like 15 minutes, because someone gets the glue gun and then makes a set of like glue stairs that clips them through the ceiling, and then they can get to the final area immediately.
I really like the Mass Effect DLCs for 2 and 3. I even like the one that people don't like in 3 that introduces the new companion character. Because again, I played it with the Legendary Edition that had all that stuff, baked in, so it just felt and flowed naturally. Like, I love the Citadel DLC in 3. Culminating with the party with the party. You get to you have your apartment in the Citadel, and you just have like this kind of last hurrah with all the major NPCs, and that was largely a reaction from people feeling that the ending was anticlimactic and you didn't get that cathartic moment with your team at the end. So this was them fitting that in, and I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Are those are where do the DLCs of those fit in narratively? Are they kind of within the narrative?
Like they're sprinkled in as you go. They're like they are not post game activities. They are best done basically like new would have if it would have pissed me off getting them if I had played them as is, because they feel most organic as just new. They feel almost indistinguishable from regular quest chains, maybe with the distinction that they are slightly more siloed in terms of location. It'll be like you will now have an extra chain that is taking place in this one particular location, but it just feels like robust story content, right? And it feels, playing them as is, that these are must play essential story elements that I couldn't picture the game without at this point. Yeah, the layer of the Shadow Broker, really good. Yeah, but I love the Citadel DLC though.
I'll chime in so obviously Shadow of the Erd Tree.
You guys need to play Mass Effect. I'm gonna make you play all 3 Mass Effect games for my game picks.
So obviously Shadow of the Erd Tree falls on my list. I do agree that Phantom Liberty is up there. Probably not my top 3, probably top 5, 6 maybe. Now my biases are gonna just show in full force. Bloodborne: The Old Hunters DLC. Really, really love that DLC. It's tight, it's crisp, great weapons, new bosses. Lady Maria can riposte me whenever she wants.
She will stab you, and Bloodborne fans will just say, "Wife."
I'll still never forget the immediate reaction I had to when she parried and riposted me.
She kisses you, right?
Yeah, it's such a a tender moment for someone who is just absolutely annihilating your health bar as she punches a hole through your chest, and then pulls you in and kisses the side of your face and then lowers you down gently as you die. The Dark Souls 3 Ringed City DLC is incredible.
Artorias of the Abyss. Artorias of the Abyss.
Souls 1.
Let's go.
That's another good one. It's probably not in my top 5 directly because it's pretty short, but
yeah,
the Artorias fight is cinema, especially when he Savage Lion Claws you 6 times in a row. The man's got wheels is all I gotta say. Saving Sif in the Abyss. If you've never played Dark Souls and then you were like, wow, I feel really bad killing this dog, go save her in the Abyss and feel even worse about it. But I'm surprised you didn't mention this one, Ben, so I'm gonna bring this one up. The Xenoblade Chronicles 2 particularly.
Oh yeah, no, those were the ones that I was forgetting. Absolutely. Those are the ones that had slipped my mind. Torna is a really interesting one.
So I was gonna bring up Torna as an example.
You can play it as, and I did buy it as a whole extra game.
You can buy Torna the Golden Country, the DLC, as a separate cartridge, and you do not need to have Xenoblade Chronicles at all. You can just plop it in and play it by itself.
I have it, and that's how I did it. And it was very cool.
It's a very cool DLC. It's a prequel, takes you back in time, so it doesn't have any bearings on post game of how the.
And the eras are so different. It's not like, let's look at this character let's look at Rex when he was a kid or even more of a kid. No, this is
I was about to say, let's look at Rex 5 years earlier.
No, this is ancient time basically, and
hundreds of years
in terms of, and it's a huge part of the lore of that world, and tackled some interesting was investigating some of the most mysterious figures that are just kind of mentioned and kind of talked around in the base game. Yeah, Adam.
Just saying, I don't swing that way, but Adam and me, things could be.
Adam, Pyra, Mithra. Let's get swinging.
Numia?
No, that's one
of my favorite DLCs that I've played just at all. I think I would put that number 2, completely honestly. I think Shadow of the Erd Tree, just because it was Elden Ring, which is a game that is probably going to stick with me for my entire life, and it's just so much more of it and so much better. It just has to be up there. I can start us off swinging the other direction, since I know I've got a couple of DLCs that I've played that were just wow, this is DLC all right.
Well, hold on, first, before we done that, you haven't played the Xenoblade 3 DLC yet, right?
I haven't finished it.
The final story one?
The Future Retold.
Because, isn't it Future Redeemed? Isn't that what it is?
I haven't played the final round.
I think
of
it's
the DLC
future. I
launch.
think it's future redeemed, but that's like on so many like top.
It's supposed to be right up
of-
there with it, which is I'm waiting for Switch 2 patch so I can put it back in.
I didn't love the DLC for first Xenoblade. It was okay, nothing special.
Yeah. But to swing us the other direction, so I'm sure both of you have at least experienced this because I think that's how it works, but the Spider-Man 1 DLC,
I played those.
yep, I thought they were severely lackluster.
Wasn't like one of them surrounding Black Cat? Wasn't that?
Yes, Black Cat and then the other one, Silver Sable.
Didn't play them.
I did, but I didn't finish.
They're,
No, I did
they're
finish
super
them all.
generic and they don't really add a whole lot of intrigue, which I'm happy they didn't do with Spider-Man 2. I was expecting them to, and I was not looking forward to, walking myself back through those. Found that DLC to be just very generic and not memorable in any way, shape, or form. The Breath of the Wild DLC.
Boy, you want a motorcycle? Here.
Which, the motorcycle's cool. Like, you're not going to hear me, like, talk shit about, riding around on a motorcycle in Hyrule and being able to power it by all the shit that I keep in my inventory that I don't need. Just the way that the story works for Breath of the Wild, and then the way that the DLC ends with, like, the final dungeon's okay, the final boss fight is fine. It just didn't need to exist. If they had just ended it with the Master Sword trial as the free update DLC, that would have been fine by me. I didn't need the additional stuff including like the one-hit obliterator challenge.
Yeah, see, I did not touch the Breath of the Wild DLC, and I felt perfectly fine not doing so.
So I think that's something, Matt, I don't think you're too biased in having FromSoft so heavily weighted.
Yeah, they make good fucking DLC. I'm sorry.
Right, exactly. And I think, maybe this is a little bit of a hot take for us and for the rest of you, but I think the Sony first-party studio games are some of the worst practitioners. It's where, speaking to Spider-Man, it's where it feels the most cash grabby. It feels like they have these completed narrative arcs, they have a completed game, but because Sony wants to double dip, they're like, no, just make a DLC. Come up with something. It doesn't matter.
Because I'm trying to think.
And that's
so
where
God
we get
of War, neither of them had legitimate DLC, right? Neither of them had paid additional content. Horizon,
that's
each
correct.
one had one. And both Horizon DLCs I thought were fine.
I'm going to say that, like, to Andrew's point there, calling back to what we were saying even earlier in the episode, it's not like the Sony first-party studios are that strapped for cash or financial support that they need to have DLC worked into their development cycle to fund next project. Sony's got that money, and these studios that are selling popular games like
I was just
Spider-Man,
trying to walk through and
like
think
Horizon,
of which ones actually had DLC. Because Horizon did, Last of Us 1 and 2 did, Ratchet and Clank did not, Spider-Man 1 did, Spider-Man 2 did not, Returnal did not, but Returnal had like post-launch free updates.
Yeah, Ghost of Yotei.
Ghost of Yotei will, Ghost of Tsushima did.
Say Ghost of Tsushima
And like
did.
the Ghost of Tsushima DLC was fine. I had no problems with Icky Island. It was more Ghost of Tsushima, which as someone who played the game late was perfectly fine and fun for me. But like that again comes down to how I play games, which is if I know, I'll just wait and I'll play it all in one sitting rather than come back to it, because it's hard for me to come back to a game, especially the more complex of the systems that the game can have. So like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I'd almost be tempted to do a full playthrough again or New Game Plus it before jumping back into DLC so I can get my feet wet back into what are the combos and what are my Ouroboros setups that I need to have ready. And
yeah, with Xenoblade 2 there's still a lot going on. I don't think nearly as much as 3, but they also introduced new enough mechanics as well, like with the blade switching to mix it up a little bit more. But those games are kind of tough to. Although I think as I was like looking at my backlog records and stuff, I played a decent gap between Xenoblade 2 and Torna, and I didn't feel. I felt I kind of went right into it. I didn't feel bad. It didn't strain those muscles at all.
Well, again, that's because Torna was designed as a standalone separate. So if you're going to have something standalone and separate, it needs to, relatively speaking, be able to stand on its own without...
It's not like it was easier.
No.
I'm just trying to remember. Maybe they tutorialized things again.
Which, I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles loves their tutorials. They are,
You'll be getting a new combat tutorial in the last boss fight.
yeah. You will be in like chapter 8 and you'll be like, wow, I know everything. And they'll be like, do you? Because we don't think you do.
But that's
Let's
what's great about
introduce
those
you
games is that it's constantly shaking things up and making what could become repetitive more complex, more layered, and posing new challenges and raising that skill ceiling. So that's one thing I love about those games.
I think, so I don't have any particularly bad DLCs I've played because I really don't play a lot of them as discussed. But I will say the place where DLC, additional pay for content chaps my ass is sports games.
Well,
They have made sports games nearly unplayable in order to force you to either only play that game for your life or pay to make your player, team, whatever better.
So we've discussed this before, how like older NBA 2K games, which would be my biggest touchstone, because I was never a huge Madden player, didn't play NHL in the same capacity. But in old 2K games, when you built a my player, you could have that guy at an all-pro level, fucking all-NBA, by the end of his rookie season, by just playing the game and just being a dickhead and just requesting trades off of the shit team that drafted you.
Yep.
Like, I remember distinctly, like, I got drafted by Toronto, and like 3 weeks into the season issued an ultimatum to the GM where it was like, it's either me or DeMar DeRozan. You can't have both. And they ended up trading DeMar DeRozan away. I was like, fuck, I wanted to be traded.
They called your bluff.
But like, you could progress in such a manner so quickly in those games, just by, playing through the game and, being able to dump stat points into your player after each game. Whereas now the touch point that I have, I think, was the last 2K that I bought, which was the one that I played with you, Andrew, which was the Kobe Memorial one. And I built a my player, and I was like,
which Kobe did they memorialize in that one?
24.
Yeah.
Okay.
The hardworking one
Good
with
one.
an unblockable jump shot.
The girl dad one. Come on, man.
Not number 8. But like, I remember building a my player in that and just being like, wow, this character is like dog shit. And like,
Yes.
they shove it down your throat immediately. It's like, upgrade to like the deluxe edition, like the digital deluxe edition, and we'll give you like 400 stat points that you can dump into your character. It's like, oh, cool. And at 400 stat points, he still will just be okay.
Yeah.
It's like, I built a 6'10" athlete and he cannot dunk, and I will never forgive you for that.
And it ruins the entire game flow because it's either like I dedicate my life to this for a year to actually
And then when they
build my
release a
character,
new one the next year, it goes away.
right, start over, or I pay for it, but then because I paid for it halfway through the season, I'm kind of burnt out because he's been balling for 55 games of the NBA season, and like I'm not actually earning anything that matters anymore, and so I don't even play through the
Teammate
full
grade
season.
went down because I demanded the ball too frequently.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm shooting 65% from 3. That's what happens. Anyways, that's really my biggest gripe is like
So I was
DLC has ruined sports games in like the pay for play exploitation of gamers.
Like
is
the Madden
the
Ultimate
most
Team, the
insidious
FIFA
aspect.
Ultimate Team.
Yes.
I was going to say that sports games in particular lend themselves to a DLC model that they've never actually gone with. Because it should be, you release maybe a foundational game once every 4 years, maybe 5 years, I don't know. And then every year the new rosters is
You're maybe allowed to do 2 in a console generation.
Yeah. But then every new season when roster updates should be a DLC rather than a full-on additional game. And even that might be a bit predatory because, obviously that should just be like a free update relatively because they do that with trades during season. Players get traded, you don't have to worry about.
And here's the thing, like stop paying actors to be in these like 25-30 minutes of bullshit cutscenes. Like stop spending money there and just give like a decent narrative.
Yeah, but you see what
you
they
could
just
update
did
a
was they
narrative
heard
easily.
stop paying actors, and they put their fingers in their ear and la la
I didn't
la,
hear
la,
the rest.
AI.
Yeah.
I mean, the sports games have notoriously, though, you know, had the real
wait.
players act in their cutscenes and have been really bad.
Yeah, I do want to clarify. I don't mean stop paying voice actors. I mean stop paying like name brand Hollywood celebrities to have some stupid made up role in your.
I don't need Wesley
narrative
Snipes to be my.
I don't need Michael B. Jordan there or Samuel L. Jackson, like with their 15 lines making me, you know, hyping me up or whatever, or being my villain. Stupid. Stop doing that.
I do need Spike Lee though to be in there at this on the side of every Knicks game.
That might be the last one that I played. The one that was like an official collaboration with Spike Lee.
Spike Lee, yeah, that's one of the last like best
2K as Spike Lee joint. That was like the last one.
But that's the thing. Like, it's just DLC in general is generally a cash grab. It's such a it's not good for consumers.
That's what ties into my major criticism, which is one that I already mentioned. And as I'm again scrolling through the list, I mentioned the one that people didn't like from Mass Effect 3, and that's Mass Effect 3 From Ashes. And what they didn't like about it is it was a day one DLC that locked a companion character behind a paywall. That should have been main game content. It was an interesting character, particularly from the lore of the franchise. He's like the last of like that kind of precursor civilization that built the Mass Effect relays and all that stuff. So like he's this really interesting touchstone for the larger scope of the whole story that this has been telling, and then to lock him behind a paywall day one fucking sucks. Dude, that's awful.
It's like, we hate you. We fucking hate you. Like, the detest they have for their own consumers when they do things like that is just, I don't know, it's mind-blowing. How do you think your audience is going to handle that? Why do you think you have?
I don't know how the creatives don't riot against the suit when the suits mandate that shit.
So I didn't mention it in my top DLCs because I find it hard to gauge how you put a fighting game DLC like this into there. But like when Smash Ultimate came out, Smash Ultimate had I think it was a 4-year DLC launch where they released, I think, 3 characters per year. If I'm remembering that correctly, it might have been 3 years, and that was
it was long. It was extended.
Yeah, it was a real long time, and they would do character, and then the character would get an amiibo, and then there would be a big, Sakurai presentation where he runs through the whole character and how he works. And this all started with a free character that they gave to everyone in Piranha Plant. Distinctly remember the Piranha Plant release. But like that was one that was.
Where are my Piranha Plant mains? Where are you? Stand up. Now's your time.
Bottom tier. But like that was one where it's like I never looked at it as predatory because it kind of felt like, they were working out deals to get all these characters in the game, and Sakurai was just having his fun, wanting to, showcase each one individually. Playing a game against himself with 2 controllers, one hand on each controller.
Let Sakurai have his fun.
Yeah.
Was he really doing that? Are you making a joke?
If you've never seen Sakurai do like a Smash Ultimate presentation, he will have 2 controllers on the table, and he will have one hand on each of them playing a different character.
He's such a diva, rather than share the limelight with another developer to play along with him.
That's so funny.
This is just me, folks. I like making my YouTube videos. This is just for me.
You think you're good at the game? I play it one-handed.
I'm willing to forgive fighting. Like, listen, here's that's the tough part about this conversation is like there are gray areas that are like I'm willing to accept are reasonable and not just like being extractionist and taking advantage of the consumer. But that's like 20% of the time, and that's what sucks about this.
Well, it's because 50% of that remaining 80% are Ubisoft DLCs.
Or $150 armor sets for Diablo.
The game still exists, surprisingly. So I don't know how it's paying for its servers.
Crazy.
Yeah, I'm in the general camp. Gun to my head, if you have to pick one, get rid of or support DLCs, I'm on the get rid of it. I do understand that there are the gray areas where it becomes a really necessary part of the
get rid of it
structure.
because it would be me with tears streaming down my face, holding the gun pointed at Michael Zaki, and he's like, "But I've got another DLC for you," and be like, "I can't.
I have 5 different swamps to show you."
This is a madness swamp."
But here's the thing: what's good could be released as like mini series, like 1.5 editions. Like it could be
like a small downloadable.
I know, but like there's a difference. There's a difference.
I would prefer it again. Let's reduce scope in general on most games, and
that's it. Again, we come back to the conclusion. Yes, reducing scope is what we need to do.
The biggest problem is that, again, why these become necessary in these gray territories is because game development is so expensive, takes so much time, and it's because these projects are getting too fucking big.
Too big.
So
I've been one to say that I was really hoping
down, iterate, make more shorter games that are released more frequently. You're gonna probably get more revenue. Because you can charge more. You can charging $40 or $50 every couple of years for a game versus $20 for a DLC once every 6 years. Is going to equal more money. Again, reduce the scope.
I'm on record saying that I wish that they copied the old Armored Core model with the most recent one, and then they released an arena game separately, maybe for $30 or $20, and they released a PvP focused one additionally.
Interesting.
I just want
From Software runs to the beat of their own drum. Like Armored Core didn't get DLC, Sekiro didn't get DLC, but boy howdy did Dark Souls 2 get 2.
How quickly you change your tune when it's a game you like.
I know. Well, that's just because I want more Sekiro. I would take 2. I would take a sequel there. But here's the thing. I just want...
There was a poll on the From Software subreddit where they said, like, you can only get one and all the others have to go away. And it was like Dark Souls 4, Elden Ring 2, Bloodborne 2, Sekiro 2.
Demon Souls 2. I'm like, why are you including that on the list?
And then it was Sekiro 2 ran away with it because most people agreed. It's like Sekiro has more story to tell, whereas each other one...
I don't know. Mine was I guess if you're playing as Kuro, but I pretty definitively ended my story.
Yes. How cool would it be to follow in the footsteps, after say a Shura ending, where he becomes the demon Shura, and you run into Wolf, as he's
way that's the canon ending out of here.
That's how I would do it. Just like if they made a Bloodborne sequel, I would definitely want my squid character to show back up as an old one that we fight.
Oh, that's cool. That would be cool. Yeah, like the final boss is the old one that you became. That would be cool.
Or treat it like the joke, like in the end of Demon Souls, where it's like a true King Allant, and you're just like a slug lying on the ground to get beaten mercilessly.
I love when they do stuff like that. Yeah, I've said my piece.
I was gonna say
I would be fine if they go away. I'd be fine if they go away forever.
Reduce scope, man. Reduce scope. 20 to 40 hours. That's what we need in games. We don't need much more than that. That's like I've come to that conclusion.
Or the games that are 100 hours don't fucking need DLC. That's enough.
Right. Yeah.
And again, tie into it. Let's put a pin in the live service genre as well. The technical DLC content with battle pass, roadmaps, season passes. Get out of here. Don't need them.
Getting suckered.
Matt, as our brave leader for this episode, what are your final thoughts on it?
I mean, I look at it as a necessary evil that exists to give me occasional good content, filled with, stuff that I won't ever touch, that is designed to hurt people.
hurt people, folks. These devs are not in, healthy relationships with their production. So it's they're gonna be forced to put out some shit.
But I think we've had a good discussion overall. Yeah. I think this was worth the $15 expansion pack that our listeners paid to get this content.
Yeah, we hope you unlocked it. You know, we get just a little bit of the cut. Unfortunately, those storefronts, they get their 30%, but 70% of something is better than 0% of nothing.
Unless you, of course, go and buy it off our GitHub page.
Yeah, get it from us direct. Absolutely.
Beat picks included there.
No, that's only on Fansly. We keep those two revenue streams separate. That way we can play plausible deniability.
All right.
But yeah,
so
I think we had a good topic discussion. I think we'll be back next week with what we've been playing.
I think next week is technically an off week, which I have a content idea to propose to you guys, and it'll be interesting if we decide. There's a chance we'll share it as a video, but I think there's potential. We'll discuss it after. There's a chance we'll do it. We might just release it as a podcast. But yeah, then basically my idea, I guess there's no reason to hold it back. My idea is to do like what's our New Year's gaming resolutions. So I think maybe do a podcast, maybe do like a like a mini podcast or something. Don't really know that there's a huge visual component for that. So be on the lookout for something like that. And yeah, then we'll just be back with what we've been playing in the new year, and we'll see if there's any news that's we're there's some things that have been teased for quarter one, so we'll see.
That Asus put out a letter, basically priming everyone, in preparation, saying that prices are going up for their hardware, and they didn't say anything particularly like any one piece, and I was like, oh boy, ROG Xbox Ally.
The One Piece is real.
One Piece is real. ROG Xbox Ally X is about to cost $1,200.
God,
man, I'm so happy that I can use AI chatbots to destroy the rainforest and make my PC components cost more.
Already going to be one of my topics that I want to talk about is Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella telling people to stop calling it AI slop. So that people in turn just started calling CEO of Microslop says stop criticizing AI, because if you don't, I'll be ruined. All right, folks. So that's our content cue for the month of January. We hope you had a nice New Year's, and we will be with you for a new year of fresh gaming content. Thank you, Matt, for this episode. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.